Hello, welcome to controlling the background in web design. So what's happened here is this is from my last lesson where I created a custom gradient, and you notice that it tiled. Because I didn't specify what I wanted, the browser simply just tiles it. For some of you, you may not even get this at all. If your image is big enough, it'll just show up as one image. But what's happening is you're dependent on the size of that image. So what we want to do is start to control that image. So first thing I want to do is a lot of times I do not want this tiling type effect. I don't want it to repeat. So let's go ahead and change the code. Okay, so I'm going to shrink this down. And the first option I want to talk about is background repeat. So I've got my background image, a gradient in this case. Let's go ahead and talk about the next property is background repeat. Background repeat. Okay. There are actually a couple options. There's repeating on X axis, repeating on Y. And the next option, most common, is simply, hey, no repeat. So let's go ahead, Control S, save it, make sure it works. Go to our website, F5. Now I have the image so that it no longer repeats. Okay, just a couple aside here. I'm going to switch quickly back. I'm not going to go through all these options here, but we can do repeat X if I want, or repeat Y. We'll do repeat X, repeat dot X, and there's also repeat Y. Control X. I need that dash in there. Refresh, and it repeats on this X axis, and then you can do it on Y. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is, well, that's good. Let's go back. I'm going to get rid of the repeat on X here and do no repeat. I want to change this position. So I sort of don't want no repeat. I don't want it sitting there in the left-hand corner. I want to control it. You've got a couple options here. On background position, you can do it by pixel location. You can do it by percent. Or you can do it by sort of default keywords. So I'll start with maybe default keywords. Okay. Default keywords are basically top, left, right, and then the other one is center, top, bottom. So for example, I want let's go at background position. Okay, so I want it at the top, centered. So I want that picture to move over, and I want it at the top center. So again, Control S, refresh. There's top center. Okay, for some of you, you could do center center and bottom center. The concern is, hey, I did center center. The photo did not center. Well, the issue sometimes is, in this case, for example, I've got a web page that's only 3 lines long, so you're not going to see much of a difference. One of the ways to get around that is that pre command. For example, pre, which is pre-format. I just use it simply to create some spaces here. So if I want my picture to be centered, I'm going to create some space here, /pre. And then I've created some spaces here without putting a lot of P's and etc. So let's go ahead and do that. I want to do, rather than top center, I want to do center center. Center. Control S, refresh, and because I put some spaces, the picture should shift down. It did not. So double check. Background position, center, center. Yep, looks good. I maybe need to make some more space. It shouldn't be that bad. Text, pre. I should see the image, in this case, the PNG gradient shift down. Control S. Oh, you did shift. Okay, I just got a limited amount of time here. Again, because even at this point, my image is just too big. So I just to prove the point, I don't want to spend too much time on this. just to make sure it shifts down. Okay, enter, 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 and then put some text here. I've got yellow text, but right now let's not worry about that. And then shift. Yeah, there you go. And then it shifts down. Simply because my entire center, I can go ahead and the entire image will shift down. The other option is I can make the image smaller, etc. But anyway, so I get my preset options, keywords. Control up arrow, shift it off. Now let's get back up here. I just created my pre here. So anyway, I've got my center. I got bottom center, left center, right center. I've got all the standard preset options. Okay. Next one is let's go ahead. I could do percents, like 20%, 30%. I don't want to spend too much time. There's quite a few options on the background. I just want to prove that they all work. So let's go. Let's do body, maybe position 20% by percent by 30%. Okay, so you're good to go. And again, let's go Control S and refresh, and it shifts over. Well, didn't look like it shifted over, but at this point, guys, I'm assuming you're going to just take my word for it. Okay, 25% by 30% background position should work. Okay, next one, guys, is I can actually do a position as a pixel location. So I'm going to change this purposely, 10px by 30px. So this should shift it back in the right-hand corner. Control S, refresh, and then refresh. Yep, pops it back in the corner. 10 pixels by 20 pixels. Okay, so you can do that. Now, next thing I want to talk about really quickly is the background size. Hey, that picture, I want to make that gradient a lot smaller. So let's go ahead and do that. So next one, background position, and do background size. So background size, Okay, so you can do whatever you want. You can do it by percent, 100% by 100%, pixels, whatever. 20 pixels, well, that's too small. Maybe 100 pixels by 100 pixels. Okay, and there you go. Control S, refresh, and I've boom. Guys, again, what's happened is sometimes they're a little sensitive about that leading space. So background size, Control S, refresh. There you go. So now my picture is 100 pixels by 100 pixels. Now, I think there's a couple more things you can do here. You can do it by percent as well. Let's say 25% by, so I want this for the web page. I want it to be 25% by 75%. Okay. Again, you'll probably use Control S, refresh, and now I got it 25% on my web page by 75%. There's a couple other options about contain, auto, and cover, which I'm not going to deal with right now. What I want to do now is I want to talk about multiple backgrounds. Okay, hey, Mr. Faria, I need multiple backgrounds. So guys, really quickly, all you need to do here is put in the position. So let's go ahead and do that. So you're going to do one body command, and then you do one background, and then you're going to throw in your images. Okay, so let's go back here. I'm checking, confirming that I've got these files. I think I do. Okay, cool. So let's go back here. So all you got to do is in background, rather than do this repeat for each one, I can do them continuously. Okay, so but the order is slightly different. I sort of did this. The order is going to be background position, background size, and then no repeat. Okay, guys. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead, and then you need just simply a space. So I want 10 pixels by 200 pixels. That's my position. Okay, and then really quickly, if you want, you need to have to put a backslash here to separate your size. Then I want 200 pixels by 200 pixels, and you're good to go. And then finally, the last one is no repeat. Now, I don't put a semicolon here. If I'm doing multiple images, I'm going to go ahead and simply put a comma. Now, I'm not going to do a background. Now, I'm going to do another URL. URL, I think I got Superman. I used it previously in a tutorial. I hope it's still out there. Superman.jpg. Okay, guys, now I can do this at a certain position here. 20% by 75%. And I'm going to do a slash here, and then I'm going to do maybe 100 pixels by 200 pixels. No, it's a yeah, 200 pixels by 200 pixels. And then I'll do a no repeat. And then you can do another one. A lot of times I use it with a GIF file. I'll talk about how to create a GIF file as a separate tutorial because this one's going a little long. URL. A.gif, and I can put that at, I think that's big file, so I'm just going to leave it. You don't have to put it, and then put my semicolon at the end. There you go. Control S. Let's, hopefully those files are there. Go back, double click. Yeah, good. So it worked out. So there's my gradient. Okay, so now I've got separate files. Okay, I'll do a tutorial on how to create a gradient. Rather easy to do. There's some default programs. So now I've got multiple backgrounds. Okay, I've got my gradient that I've got over here. I've got my Superman image here, and then I finally, because the images I used here, I used the default Photoshop is pretty good. I just went ahead and tiled it up, so you can have multiple backgrounds as your in your body command. I mean, multiple images as your background. Okay, so there you go. Controlling backgrounds in HTML.